Hello, y'all. It's that time again. Ooh, another podcast. Hop in your truck with your dog that your ex-wife didn't take. Because it's time to listen to. Oh, another podcast. Baby. Roll down the windows, let your neighbors hear. They got no class, well, let's hit the gas. Oh, another podcast with Jason Kusura. So let's get on down the road, down the old dirt road. Talking with Nils Gransberg, oh yeah, and Okie from Okie. Welcome, y'all. Let's go.
No, it's all good. Yeah.
I've been using these AirPods lately to use because it's just kind of easier. Like I have mics, headphones, and all that stuff, but I'm starting to learn my ears hate them. You know, they're just like still have these hard plastic pieces, and I constantly adjust them, but then they sound good, and so I just have to deal with that kind of sacrifice, man. It's a real challenge. You know, it's a part of my disability is small earlobes or something. Anyway, Nils. Welcome into my latest endeavor, another podcast with me. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks, Jason. It's always good to get to chat with an old friend.
All I've had on so far is old friends and army buddies, but it's a limitless list almost of people that you can talk to. Well, I'd say the list is kind of short about people you can talk to that have brains and some intellect, you know. So you'll never see that on this show, like anybody outside of that list. But but anyway,
not a lot of combat engineers, huh?
But what's the misnomer with Army engineers? There's like a misnomer, I suppose, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That they're real engineers, but some become engineers.
So good, right? You know, it's like they're that's why I was really proud to be a 12 Charlie instead of 12 Bravo as a bridge crew member, because, like, you know, we were pretty dumb to start with, but then you put us next to the 12 Bravos and you're like, man, those guys are smart. They are smart. The 12 Bs they're going, yeah, let's body slam each other on concrete. Yeah.
How are you going to breach that concertina wire, buddy? With me.
With my body.
Yeah. It's just and don't advance that method at all. You know, why would you do that? So quick background, and I do a lot of intro backgrounds myself, you know, so I'll do an intro video separate to this where I talk about how I know you, but regardless, is I want to hit this up real quick. So you and I don't think we met before we ended up in Kuwait, you know, because I got to Germany in like January of 2003 or maybe February, I don't remember exactly, but I think you guys maybe were already down there, or we just didn't see each other and you guys went early Feb, something like that.
Yeah, actually I was you and I were kind of in the same position because I was not in headquarters company until like the end of January. I'd been in a bridge company in the 565 was it?
Sure.
I can't. I'm the numbers are slipping away, right? But
yeah, this is where the memory
company. 38th Engineer Company, Medium Girder Bridge. We were the last fixed bridge company in the regular Army, and I'd been there for like 2.5 years, and had been a line dog for a little while in a bridge platoon, and then had my platoon sergeant came down one Monday, and we were doing motor stables, and said, "All right, I need 2 soldiers that are smart with computers." They were looking around. He goes, "Cranberry, you went to college, right?" And I was like, "I got kicked out of college, Sergeant." He goes, "That's fine. You're smart with computers, right?" Like, "I guess." He's like, "All right." Off you go. So they sent me up. Yeah, sent me up to support platoon, and I was cross-trained as the parts clerk. And because our parts clerk was getting kicked out for doing drugs. And so me and another guy, Juan Herrera from first platoon, I was in second platoon. We both got tasked out to, for like 6 months to go do that. And anyways, they some reason they liked me, and they decided to keep me on the platoon after my kind of tenure was up there as the parts clerk. And there was 112 Charlie slot in the MTO for the driver, platoon leader's driver. So I became the support platoon leader's driver, and we had a maintenance section and a heavy equipment section. So I was with the heavy equipment section, and I skated for the rest of the time I was there until right around New Year's '03, and First Sergeant Graves came down and came down and found me at PT one morning and said, hey, you're I got told we got tasked to send a replacement driver up to brigade, and so because they're the colonel's driver went down with a torch party to Kuwait, and so I'm sending you to go be his temporary driver. So all right, First Sergeant. So that's how I got to HHC, and then I was the drove Colonel Martin around while we were down in Grafenwehr doing the big train up and stuff. And then when Sergeant Major Riddle borrowed me one day to drive him to Bamberg. Bamberg? Yeah, Bamberg. Anyways, I was thinking Baumholder. No, it's Bamberg.
Yes.
54th Engineers to see them off.
Yeah.
He grabbed me, and I was driving the Dodge TMP van, Ram van, and he scared the crap out of me, man. He was so terrifying. Like, yeah, it's just I had never been more scared in my life than like driving with him. I was like white knuckling it like this the whole way, and I say, Sergeant Major, he goes, what?
He is so intimidating, man.
Can I put some music on? He's like, okay. I'm like, crap, what do I do now? I don't know what to put on. I had this like book of CDs, like the 90s era CD book.
Yeah.
And I'm like flipping through this thing, and I go like, oh, classical music. Nobody hates classical music. So I had Tchaikovsky's Capriccio Italian, and I put that in there, and his eyes lit up, and he goes, oh, this is Tchaikovsky. You like Tchaikovsky? Oh, I love this guy, and he's like air conducting, to Capriccio Italian, and wow. It was one of my favorites because I play the violin, and it was one of the ones we played in the youth symphony, in Lubbock. So, and then a few days later, he offered me the job, and he's like, so Gransberg, I want to offer you the job to be the Sergeant Major's driver as we go down to war. And my driver was an idiot, so I fired him. So you're not just a driver, you're like my battle buddy. He said, you and me in the war together. What do you think? And I said, I'm supposed to be out of the Army in April, Sergeant Major. I'm not re-enlisting, but I'll extend. So he said, done. So we went back and did a 6-month extension, and few weeks later, I was on a plane to Kuwait, and that's the first place I saw you, and we were up at Camp Virginia. Yep.
Yeah. So whenever you were getting called up to brigade, and they mentioned things like a torch party, did you know what the hell was going on at the time? Did you did you already know that we were going to be going into Iraq, or was it still tiddly tits?
Yeah, maybe? I think it was pretty clear because I had a really like strange experience for being an enlisted guy. I was an E4, and getting to go down to Graf during the train up with it was like every brigade commander was there. All the division commanders were there. General Wallace from 5th Corps was down there, and like they had this auditorium where they had laid out a sand table map of Iraq with tape on the floor. It was a basketball, like a basketball size, and it was like you could see all the lanes, and they had all the objectives on it, and everything was laid out.
Here's your sign.
Yeah, man. It was like when they came up, they're like, hey, you guys are getting your smallpox vaccinations, right? And I'm like, what? Yeah.
Why? Like,
don't touch your
to this day. Why?
Don't touch your eyes. And they gave you like a thing of hand sanitizer, and I'd never seen hand sanitizer before. It was like, what is this stuff? Like, wow.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
so I'm like carrying around my thing of hand sanitizer. I'm like, oh shoot, man, I don't want to go blind, So
Right, that's the thing. I'm gonna get AIDS, man. I don't know.
I know
They
it's
don't
like,
tell you
oh,
anything.
yeah, I still got to pocket my arm from that.
Well, yeah, I got mine at Camp Virginia. All
Yeah.
the inoculations there. Whenever we walked through a tent, they were just like tap 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 tap. Don't worry about it, buddy. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
2 days with a fever, and you're like feel like you're dying,
Yep.
and then it's like, oh yeah, it'll protect me from things, I guess, that may or may not occur. But okay, it's
Perfect
just like
antiviral.
anthrax. Thank God I got anthrax. That's great. I residual effects. Who knows? I'm sure,
Yeah.
but that's pretty cool. So your impression of Command Sergeant Major Riddle is very spot on, and so people don't know, like he was from Colombia, right?
No, Chile.
Chile.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's
yeah, and
Chilean. Yep.
he had
He
the
had these.
mustache, which the
He had these
eyebrows. Yeah, it was the
eyebrows. They were
eyebrows.
like
Yeah,
they were
and
like
they flicked up,
huge,
right?
man. Oh yeah, it's like he had this when he kind of chilled out a little bit with me. Or I guess maybe it wasn't we chilled out that I finally like got the rhythm with him. We were joking around with Humvee one day. He goes, "Hey, Gransberg, you know how you tell if I'm happy? And if I'm mad," he pushed him down. I was like, yeah.
It was his
Noted,
calling
Sergeant
card,
Major.
man.
Noted.
Yeah, his calling card. That's cool. Then that's the
Oh.
funny thing is, so like so for you people watching, is you've either seen this or you haven't yet, because the order that I'm publishing this are just random, like I'm just kind of like, yeah, let's just do it. But the Command Sergeant Major friend of mine that I interviewed, we had a discussion about the atypical sergeant major that we grew up with in the early days, or early days in the Army, but our days,
Yeah.
20 years ago, and how different they are now, and how different they have to be in a sense, because the generation of soldier now is so different, because it's just a whole different generation of people. But he's like, it's not so much that we're just nice and cuddly and caring, but we're not seeing someone walk on the grass and being like, "Hey, mother," it's like, it's just like, why? It's so much
So
wasted
different.
energy. And it's
I
like,
know.
sure, yeah. Because the first time I met Sergeant Major Riddle was back in Hanau in Germany. So again, a little quick backstory. Nils and I were part of the 130th Engineer Brigade, which was like the engineer brigade for Iraq, going into Iraq, all these things, a lot of controlling assets. But we deployed out of Germany. That was home base. Hanau for the brigade headquarters. And then the other battalions were scattered, companies scattered throughout Germany. But down in the motor pool, I guess they were blocking and chalking, whatever, in a whatever the hell they're called. This is the memory part. But those Connex things and a Connex, yeah. And I remember being told by Chaplain Higgins was like, "Hey, I think they're doing something with the Connex, and they need you down there, or whatever." And I was a buck sergeant, E5 buck sergeant, fairly newly pinned as well, new to Germany, new to the unit. And so I'm like, I don't know what that is, but okay, I'll go down there and check it out. So I'm down there standing around this Connex, and a couple of soldiers are in there doing stuff and hammering boards in and securing things.
Yep.
And if you remember Sergeant John Lavery, he was one of the cooks, right? But he was standing by me. He was new to the unit too. And dude, and we're just talking, like, we just met each other. We're like, "Oh yeah, I'm new to the unit too, blah, 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 blah." Out of nowhere, man, comes this like, "What the fuck are you doing? Standing around here, Sergeant? You're just not doing anything, blah, blah, blah." And he goes in there and he's telling them all this stuff of what to do. And he turns around, he's like, "I expect you guys to be doing this, not me have to come over here." He's like, "Who are you anyway?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm Sergeant Casera, the new chaplain assistant." He goes like, "Son of a bitch." He's like, "Excuse me then." And then he looked at Sergeant Lavery. He's like, "Who the hell are you?" And he's like, "Oh, we're the DFAC." And he's like, "Why are you here?" Just stuff like that. And, I was like,
I don't know why I'm here. Why am I here,
home.
Sergeant Major?
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. No, this is a good time to learn. Yeah, I guess it is. Hand me my flak vest. It'll help me so much, in wartime too. What a weird time though, dude. Like, to go in, and we were as prepared and unprepared as we could be, to have a full-on war. And that's something I look back upon a lot and think, like, the amount of, like, the way strategy and military technology and our own like weaponry and stuff like that advanced because of that. But initially, the first couple of years, it was like, oh, you need that? Oh, okay, yeah. So sandbags don't work real well in the bottom of the Humvee to protect you from your legs blown off.
Oh my god!
You need doors? Do we need
Yeah.
doors? What the fuck do we need doors for?
We
You know,
need
stuff
doors.
like that, dude. I mean, it was
Only reason
mesmerizing.
you had doors was to keep the kids from hopping in, right?
Like stuff like that. Did anybody put that on their pegboard? Like, hey, there might be a lot of starving children that are going to want Skittles, you know?
Yeah.
Or, hey, don't throw the candy from the back of your vehicle, you know, because they might run into the road. I mean, there was just so many things, man, that it just seemed like, I don't want to say that we were just ignorant, because we weren't ignorant. Maybe the upper echelons, they just didn't have all these like different intricacies, I guess, that they really planned contingencies for. It was just like, we're going to go in and smash the shit out of them, and that's it, you know, and then we're going to leave. I still remember Colonel Martin several times. Yeah, we're going to be out of here by May, guys. By the end of May, we're going home. Don't worry about it. And then a month later.
No, it's July. Nope, it's going to be August now. Hey, hey.
Hopefully Christmas.
maybe Christmas.
If you guys want to order presents, go ahead. We don't know, you know, we'll see. It's like, why don't you just stop talking?
Yeah.
Let's just do that. You're murdering my morale, dude. But like there was cool things too that we got to experiment on. Like if we were in the right place, of course, like I still feel kind of lucky and blessed to have been with that unit, particularly because we got cool things up front, like settling in the Balad and then having all the contracts, you know, getting essentially the first defac right beside us, and showers, and getting our windows replaced. I mean, all kinds of stuff, right? That's what happens whenever you're, you know, have the guys heading up the contracts in your building, basically, right? And so that was nice.
It was what, 410th or 412th, something like that. The theater engineer folks who were there, they were like reserves.
Yeah. Well, the reserve
working
units that we brought in and the guard units were amazing, man. Like those were guys that really did that stuff for a living. The vertical guys and the horizontal guys, the guys who went out and repaved the airfield after the Air Force just bombed it for fun, you know, like and getting to fly out of there too. Like when I left on General Sanchez's plane, which was pretty sick, you know. Yeah, I didn't have to drive back. That was cool. That was just out of sheer luck. I got to be an advance party going back to Kuwait, and we got to fly out on the Cessna, and that was cool. I was just like, what a nice way to return, you know. Yeah. Driving into this piece of shit and flying out on a private. Yeah, like that was a nice way, man. But do you ever want to revisit that place? Like go back and visit Iraq just to see how it is?
I would love to. Like honestly, I have that's one of my dreams, is to be able to go back there and see it, but not have to be in, you know, go see it as a tourist.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, because it's the thing that just struck me so much with Iraq was like, I mean, the Iraqis have like they have the greenest thumb out of anybody I've ever seen in the world. Like they can literally make anything grow anywhere. You know, and it's like you're cooking along. It's like baked desert, dry as a bone. You know, completely parched, and then boom, here's this like, you know, garden with, you know, grove of these gorgeous palm trees, and you can smell all like the flowers and jasmine and stuff, and it's just lush, and there's like fruit trees, and it's just like all by yourself out there in the middle of the desert, you know. Like
where they get water from, who knows? They're digging.
I wonder where they learned how to do this, you know. I mean, they probably because they invented agriculture, right? You know.
That's crazy. Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's what they talk about, the birth of civilization, right?
Yeah.
In essence. I mean, what can a government do to a country, like a citizenry that's kind of advancing early stages, and then you get over like rulers who come in and dumb them down and just make them poor. That's something I'll never forget, is like the Christians in Iraq who came to us Easter Sunday, the first Easter that they were able to do their pilgrimage in like 30 years. And eventually we had people coming up asking for Bibles who were in tears and just like, I would have gotten killed for this beforehand. So thank you. And, you know, and my part, in the dark part of me, I think I hope those guys are still alive now, because over the next 10 some odd years. There was so many civilian casualties
Yeah.
due to, some Iranian bullshit, right? That you learn over time and some influence there. But those are people who, yeah, like they where would they be without that oppressive government for so long in this day and age? Like Iraq would probably be one of the global leaders. And that's something, yeah, it's like you hope they get to, but man, right now, it's like I don't think they have like a really oppressive government. Can't say I've kept up really well, but it seems like they don't have a government that's really looking out to advance their
I think
culture,
they're
their country.
doing a lot better now than they probably
would be. Oh, hope I didn't lose you.
have in our entire lifetime. So, Kurdistan is really the most prosperous part of the country now, and that's because they're they're a lot more. They're different. They have a different kind of homogeneous sort of culture. That is, they've never had their own state, so they work. They're very, very tight knit folks, and they are tougher than hell. I mean, tougher than nails, man. Yeah, no, I mean, I think the other piece too is like, there was we had a couple of opportunities in the spring of 03 that were completely squandered. And I got to be there for a couple of them, and which is, again, it was, being a command driver is a weird kind of gig, man. Because like my experience going to war, it's completely different, I think, than almost anyone I served. I served within the Army as an enlisted guy. I mean, because for the most part, I was by myself. I mean, it was just by yourself. I mean, you get the same thing, same experience. The chaplain assistant, it's like you're out there and like your officers running around doing their thing, and you're like,
yeah, you're not part of some massive convoy with security. It might be two vehicles, maybe no vehicle, but like, and then you're figuring it out where you're going and stuff on the fly, and I mean, it seems reckless, but man, doesn't it build confidence though? Like that's a confidence builder or wrecker, depending. I remember a certain lieutenant that tried to drive the company up to meet us finally and got them lost like outside the gates, and then the lieutenant colonel who was right there that could have helped was like, "That's just learning. This isn't the fucking time." Like, I don't know, call me crazy.
This is a training.
Yeah, like, well, that should have happened a few months ago. But anyway, like, it's not time. It's not time for that. But anyways, refer to that.
So the thing was, when we did battlefield circulation, so we're hopping around from different units to units, and then after we'd taken Baghdad, we'd gone up and they had like the green zone, or what became the green zone. Fifth Corps kind of set up shop up there, and we were in a meeting one day, and it was with the one of the Iraqi corps commanders, like 2 corps commanders. One of them was like the head of their military police, and General Wallace was there, and like everybody from Fifth Corps, Miles DeLong and all those guys, like everybody who was there. And they were talking, and essentially these guys said, "Look, how many soldiers do you need to clean up Baghdad? All we want is for you to pay us and feed them. That's it. We'll happily do all the cleanup. Do you need security? How many MPs? I can have 1,000 MPs here tomorrow, and next week, and I can have up to 10,000 MPs here for Baghdad." And Wallace is like, done, right? They shook hands. They were kissing each other's faces and stuff. We had this thing set, and it was like the week later or 2 weeks later, the freaking Bremer shows up, that dumbass with his, combat boots and suit, and he goes, "We're going to declassify the government, and we're going to disband the army." And like, he just walked in and he just threw a hand grenade in the middle. Like, we had this thing covered, man, And so what they go, "Oh, the Americans stabbed us in the back. Americans lied to us." And they said, "Well, F you." And we didn't like round these guys up. They still had their guns, they had all their equipment and their weapons and stuff. And they're like, "Okay, off to your tents, lads." And they went out, and the insurgency sprung up directly as a result of that. And it was just so painful, because like I was a fly on the wall there watching this stuff happen, and like how many I was an E4, so it's like, it was really,
Your eyes are huge. Yeah, yeah.
oh yeah, yeah,
It's amazing, and that's the craziness of to me such a problem with the turnover in the civilian leadership with the Department of Defense and Department of
oh
State.
yeah,
That constant turnover is you get these different agendas, and you get bullshitters. I mean, we see it now, and that's my fear with Iran is like
yeah,
you're essentially trying to do what you did in Iraq, which is topple a government and cripple it with no plan to fucking
no plan
maintain
for
it
me.
after that. And that's the thing, like with Iraq, is I remember that really well. Is like collapsing their government was a huge mistake. You had people who probably would have been really happy to be like, yeah, we're rid of this dickhead. So now we can like, thrive and be happy. And it's just a
Yeah.
good culture. And we're honest people. We've just been beaten for a long
Yeah.
time. But you're going to throw us out on the street. Like, do you remember the guys who'd come on base and just rake sand for like $1 a day? And then
Oh, yeah.
they'd steal shit. And you're like, well, yeah, I get why you're stealing shit. I'll let that one go. Like a guy stole my Nikes, and at first I was going to be really pissed, but I was like, he fucking needs them. Those might be the best shoes he's ever had,
Yeah.
I can live with that. And that was the shame of it, man. It's like I remember walking into warehouses at Anaconda that were full of UN rice and all kinds of materials, all kinds of stuff that was meant for the people, just sitting there like rotted out,
Yeah.
Yeah, so Saddam was a piece of shit. Like, I mean, he needed to go. But I think the big mistake was gutting that government and making all these people unemployed. Because we sure didn't do a good job. It probably took, would you say, almost years for civil affairs to really get established and get like a repertoire, I guess, with the people and the leaders. Because I know it wasn't before I left. I mean, I feel like it was still. I also feel like whenever one AD replaced, was it fourth ID who got replaced by, or they replaced 3ID, right? I think fourth ID came in.
Yeah,
after,
fourth ID was
or
the one that got delayed because the Turks were like, "Nah, you're not coming through here."
that's right.
And
Yeah,
so
and then
it came late. Yeah,
I feel like when they rolled in, and I kind of feel like 182, I'm not sure, but I just like they came in ready to fuck up things, like
they were.
it's a new war, baby. And it's like, no. We're doing all right here.
This is gonna be
like everything's cool, man. We don't need you guys to come in and start wrecking shop. And they were like, nah, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And I feel like that was a change, changed things, right?
But that's how we fought 20 years of war in the Middle East. We fought the same damn war every year. It was like Groundhog's Day. You'd go down there, freaking new brigade commander come in the battle space. You'd be like, all you cowards are the ones who are, I'm gonna be the one, the hero that's gonna win the war for America. And they'd be doing their left seat, right seat, and hand over and be like, you idiots don't know what you're talking about. Wouldn't listen to anything.
Should have driven this way on this route. What are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah. Bunch of guys who did a lot of push-ups, who could run real fast.
Wear shorts.
You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm talking about. They're very strong. And then you get out there and they take a bunch of casualties and they kill a bunch of civilians and screw things up. And then 6 months in, they'd go, oh, maybe those guys are right? And then they would start trying to, so it takes 6 months for you to get to the point where you're like, oh, shoot, maybe I should have listened. And then you're just playing catch up and trying to hold on until the next guy comes in and goes, you cowards, and it was like, we did this every time. Like, and the big army is just great at that crap. It is just great at that crap,
Yeah.
Yeah. No plans. This whole alpha male, crap. Like, so side quest here, side story. So one of my good friends from high school, a guy named Nick Irvin, he was in the invasion as well. He was in I can't remember what division, but his brigade commander was a guy named, or battalion commander was a guy named Kandarian. And Kandarian was one of these like, Ranger Hua kind of dudes who was extra strong, and that was it, and like anyway, so he's telling me about it, like they were in Kuwait and whatever, or not Kuwait, maybe it was when they're like Fort Hood or something like that before they deployed, and he's like, gave this whole like, blood and war and, glory speech, and then, off they went and like got a bunch of guys killed, and it was just terrible. He was a brigade commander when I was in Afghanistan 7 years later.
Mm.
And he was exactly the same. And it was like I had a run-in with him on we were supposed to support a operation in Zari, where they were gonna move south from Highway 1 down to the Arghandab River, push the Taliban out. We were gonna build a combat trail and 2 combat outposts, and then they were gonna, essentially, take that territory back and from the Taliban. And we were the engineers, and I said, we were briefing them and said, hey, sir, we think you should, probably look at improving the existing roads that go through through the villages and whatnot. You're going to have the, added benefit of the civilians are there, which means the Taliban can't go hog wild. They'll kill their own people, right? And it doesn't last very long. We can improve them so that they're harder to IED. And he looks at me and he goes, what's your branch, Captain? I said, well, I'm an engineer, sir. And he goes, that's right. That's right. Why don't you let the meat eaters here do the decision making? You're going to do what I tell you to do. I was like, yes, sir. He said, I want a combat trail down the 19th parallel. It's like, okay, sir. We can't get material to actually make that a viable route. It's all moon dust, right? I'll cut your moon dust trail, but you're going to get the the IED that like crap, and it was like, don't listen. And we kicked that thing off, man. And it was he ran out of platoons. We only built one of the combat outposts. We didn't build the second one because he took too many casualties. He lost 32 guys. That operation. We drove down the night of the operation kicked off, and they went and they air assaulted in, and captured the crossing point and whatnot. And then my engineers come up behind them, with build a combat trail, and we hit a IED. We turned off Highway 1. We hit our first IED. Route clearance package. The Husky got nailed. So we had to stop and recover the Husky. Went a little further down. The RG-31, platoon leader's RG-31 got hit. So we had to borrow one of our 916s in flatbed from our earth moving platoon there to be able to recover that. And we finally get down to the bridgehead, the crossing point, and we're down there, and the platoon sergeant for the 101st that was down there, 2nd Brigade. I was first of the 501st, I think. Anyways, he stepped on an IED, and we made a quick LZ for the medevac to come in, and he didn't make it. And then we turned around and hit our 3rd IED going out. Buffalo hit an IED in the same spot that the first IED was, and now it's a giant crater. So it's we left in the morning, and now it's like 11:30 at night. It's 6 kilometers. This is that's as far as going, 6 kilometers, right? We got them recovered, and we finally got out. I mean, it was like, what's the point, man? Like, and so it's that's the kind of stuff that it's like you see that crap, and for some reason these kind of meatheads matriculate, and that's part of why I don't feel bad about being out of the Army, not making it to 20. I kind of hit my fun meter got pegged out. That was it.
Sure. Well, like, so during that one that's happening, obviously, like, so reports are going back to brigade, I assume, right? And that brigade commander at that point, I'm sure, is like, oh, I mean, he's probably saying like pull out or whatever, right? And what is that basically AAR like after that operation?
Honestly, we didn't have one. I mean, it was like, it feels like amateur hour, But
Yeah, he just probably like shrugs and is like, well, they didn't do it right.
on to the next one. Yeah, well, if you
Yeah.
guys were braver, if you guys were more violent with the action, if you guys had been manlier men, maybe you wouldn't have been killed, or maybe you would have. Maybe, yeah. I mean, it was just, it was one of those ones that still bothers
Sociopathic
me.
kind of. Yeah.
Still
So
bothers
with
me.
that, what year was that?
2010. So that was
2010.
October 2010.
So, and you had said that he was battalion commander like in 0304 or something like that.
Yeah,
Is that right?
He had been a
He
battalion
had time to
commander.
learn. He had plenty of time to learn.
Plenty of time to learn,
That-
didn't.
Well, so when we went in the early Iraq days and even the early Afghanistan days, we were playing with an army that was like a peacekeeping military for like nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, there were little operations here and there, but they were very exclusive. Big army hadn't done shit for so long, and so you had a lot of leaders who had no experience in the real world.
Yeah.
And most of our tabletop exercises centered around North Korea or Russia.
They're like
It's all Cold War. Yeah, all Cold War. Even when we went into Iraq, I felt like we were going in with a Cold War army,
We were.
Yeah, like bring the tanks and all that shit, It's like were we tearing down a wall? Like
we were so fast. It was bananas. It was crazy.
Too fast, I think, right? And the logistics of that operation, I talked about this in the interview I did with the command sergeant major, is that I was amazed with the logistics. Like we didn't go without a meal, whether you had MREs or not, but it's like you could get fuel, you could get water, you could get a meal. And if you parked somewhere more than like a day, there's probably an MKT set up. That was just for like our brigade or our units, I mean, you had, how many did we go in with originally? Like 50,000 or something like that? I don't know. Ballpark.
Our brigade. So
no, I mean just the army overall, and plus the Marines. Like when the initial invasion, like first 72 hours, was it like a pretty good push like that?
It was like I think we had over 100,000. It was not enough. Shinseki he actually was pretty. he was vindicated, because he had actually said, "Hey, we don't have enough troops to hold this," and freaking what's his nuts, the SecDef.
Donnie Rumsfeld,
the short guy. He was such a little dinky dude.
A piece of shit.
Freaking former fighter pilot, and what do fighter pilots know about land wars?
Cold War proponent, right?
He was bomb it, right? Yeah, of course you can bomb it.
Shred it, flatten it. Well, just pick up the pieces later. He doesn't have to worry about pieces.
Air power wins wars. Air power has never won a single war.
What were we doing that was called the Rex and Effect? I don't know. What was it going to be called?
The shock and awe.
The shock and awe, baby. We're going to shock the shit out of them. And
these are jazz hands.
One of the last guys I worked with, public affairs officer-wise, he was a Apache pilot with the 101st. And so they were on those initial waves going in with birds, just trying to hit different targets. And they took so much damage, man, just people shooting in the air with rifles that they couldn't see. He said one of his buddies, like right basically to his left, got shot in the neck. I mean, he had holes all through his helo. And he said they barely completed their mission and got out of there because it was like, whoa, they have weapons? Or I don't know. It's like one of those things like you don't think these guys might have some rifles that you might have given to them a long time ago too. I don't know. I mean that's the crazy shit.
His guys were driving around with dump trucks loaded up with rusty AKs, just passing them out to everybody before it came across the border.
So going back, and I know you have a lot of knowledge with this stuff, is like going back to the historical part of those deals, because didn't Donnie have he had meet and greets with Saddam in the 80s or something like that, right? I mean, or we had different leadership that did deals because they were trying to, arm the Iraqis to defeat the Iranians, right? Yeah. And but then that relationship soured like a girlfriend. That was a surprise, but you didn't have any recourse, I guess, to recover it, or didn't try,
Well, he's a guy who was driven by his ego, and ego-driven people can achieve great power, but they have a fatal flaw, right? It's because their weakness is they make stupid decisions that are based upon their ego. And when you make stupid emotional decisions on that level, right, it it's just a recipe for failure, you know. I mean, the kind of crap, you know, like there was an interesting deal that came out a while ago. I heard, you know, it was I don't even remember where I was listening to it, but oh no, it was a documentary on Osama bin Laden that was came out I think like last year, and they were talking about how Rumsfeld,
Sure.
you know, the reason he didn't catch him in Tora Bora is because he was in a feud with I guess like the CIA director or something like that,
Yeah, yeah.
and
They wouldn't make the
and
call, right?
yep, and it was like, well, okay, then we're not going to send the Rangers in, you know, and it was like, come on, man, you know, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's crazy,
I
dude.
got to see him down there in Baghdad in April because I'd gotten loaned out. Um,
Rummy?
yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
got loaned out to another really charming fellow. Was the driver for Brigadier General Hawkins, who was the USACE task force commander to turn the lights and water back on.
Okay.
And so I was gone for like 3 weeks from brigade. And that was when Sergeant Major Riddle had gotten back on like emergency leave.
Okay.
Um, and so Colonel Martin was like, "Hey, Grandpa, you're gonna go be General Martin's driver for a while." I'm like, "All right, sir." It's gonna be great, you know.
Yeah.
And so I went down there and drove him around, and like he was he had three majors and a colonel, a couple of like Air Force NCOs that were on like the stat. It was like this weird kind of task force. They didn't have any equipment at all. He had a pair of Avenger Humvee crews that were
Mm.
our convoy security, and then he had my truck, which I don't know if you remember. We looked kind of like the Clampets. I
Yeah.
had like we had like everything on it, like a cargo net. I had like a big water cooler. All I needed was like a roadkill bucket on the back. You know, it's like Texas
Yeah.
tea,
You
black gold.
invented the method to cool down the water bottle by putting it in your wet sock, right? Wasn't that you? I
Right?
learned that from
Yeah,
hanging it off
yeah,
your mirror because it was a
yeah.
lot
I
better
wish I
than
had
fucking
learned that like a
scorching
month
hot
earlier.
water. Yeah, dude, than sitting in the middle by your engine bay and you ah, like it's just 120 degrees water. That's not fun. Yeah, that was a great little thing that you picked up that you shared with everybody. So anyway, so with General Hawkins, how'd all that go?
Oh yeah, yeah. So he did not like my truck because it wasn't sexy, and
I'm not riding in this
he
thing.
made he's like, ugh, why don't you unload all this crap? And I'm like, sir, I can't unload this crap. I'm responsible for all of it. This is me and Sergeant Major's stuff. And like we were at the Al Fa Palace down at Bayat at the airport, and it was the one that
Okay.
had like the island and then like it was in the lake out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is
Anyways,
that the one that had the hole blown in the side of it?
yeah,
Is that
yeah,
was
yeah,
that a
yeah,
different? Oh,
yeah.
was that one? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we called it Alcatraz. It was like, you know, Palace Island, you know, and
Yeah.
uh, like the first day I showed up there, these like two Air Force, you know, NCOs walk up and they're like, "Hey, buddy, would you like help unloading your truck? We got a spot for you on the veranda." And I'm like, "No, thanks, Sergeant. I'm gonna sleep here in my truck." And they're like, you know, you know,
You can't do that.
"Are you an animal? What? How can you sleep on a truck?" Huh. You know, and I was like, because I've been sleeping on this truck for the whole invasion. You know, I was like, I slept on the hood. I didn't even put my cot up. You know, I just throw my sleeping bag across the hood up there by the glass because I just got tired of folding my cot up, jump every night. You know, and I wasn't gonna like I didn't know those guys. I didn't trust them. I wasn't gonna load all my stuff and then gone all day, come back and half my junk is gone. Like, no, it's all staying
Yeah,
on my
because
truck.
that happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lot of
So,
thievery from between units.
oh, there's only one thief in the army, man. Everybody else is just trying to get his stuff back, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we were doing this regular kind of like loop where we'd go to we'd hit the Dower power plant and we hit a couple other spots and you know, each day, and we were like it was like clockwork, man, on this same schedule, same time. Like I was just shitting kittens, honestly, because it was like, oh, we're gonna get nailed, man. This is how you get nailed, because we were 3 soft skin trucks. I mean, the vendors were cool because they had those turrets in them, and these dudes, they'd spin around. They had like a really fast 50 cal on there, and so like that was great. And then there was me and my, hard top, with the Humvee with the fiberglass top on it and nothing to speak of, and but so we were down there for a while, and then we found out, hey, Rumsfeld's gonna show up and do his victory tours, like I think the end of April, and we were down at the Dower plant, and for like a number of days. So Dower plant's like right on the Euphrates River, and then across, it's like the main power plant in Baghdad. And so across the river from that was like 2 palaces. One of them was like Uday's palace, and like one of his uncles or somebody. And so these dudes would come out every other day or so, and you hear, and then they, take pot shots at us across the river. And like every time that happened, there would be some different major who'd be like, give him a warning shot. Like, come on, man, this ROE was, if you're getting shot at, return fired, no, give him a warning shot. So we're like, okay, give him a warning shot, and then we see right, like it was the week before, probably a couple days before Rumsfeld was supposed to come out there. We were watching these guys come out, walk across, and it was like 3 of them, and then they kind of like turned a corner, and then you hear a single gunshot, and then 2 of them walk back out. And so it's kind of hard to see. And then, so it's like, oh, well, they just killed somebody, And that afternoon, we had probably like 30 women who were all wailing, crying, coming, asking to look along the river, because their like 14-year-old boy had been murdered by these guys. And, don't shoot at them, right? And then the next day, right before Rumsfeld comes in, they flew in snipers and killed everybody, right? And then Rumsfeld shows up, and we're down there. We're like thinking, hey, this is going to be kind of cool. We're going to see him. We get these guys with the little earbuds come up, and they're like, hey, guys, I really appreciate all you're doing, man. You guys are doing great, but we're going to need you to move your vehicles back over here out of the area, right? Like out of the way. Like, oh, okay. First time it's like, oh, okay. And then like another guy comes up, and he's like, oh, hey guys, man, you guys are just, great. We need you to move out into this. And like, we're like, tucked away back in this corner, where nobody can see us. It's like, we just don't trust you guys. We just don't trust you guys running. And then the circus comes through, and it's like the black SUVs, the up armored Humvees, like the ones that you're
boy,
like,
who's in there?
It's got armor on it. That's cool, right? They whip around, like, and you see Rummy pop out, and his head's like this at the Humvee, I'm like, that dude is so short, because the Humvee is not a tall truck. And like, he goes in there, right? He's there for 20 minutes, and then and the circus drives back off again, right? And we're like standing back here in an alley somewhere going, okay, what just happened? And that was one like for me, I just thought, who's more important here, right? Whose life is more valuable,
Right.
This kid whose life is snuffed out, right? Teenager, right? Because of, fear, essentially, of getting in trouble from, some field grades. And then they go and they kill him anyways, because, Rummy the war god showed up. And it's like, it just seems so gross, man. It's one of those, it's bothered me for 20 years. If you can't tell, it still bothers me. But
no, 100%. A really good book I read not long, it was a few years later, because I got it from one of my soldiers when I was in combat cameras. So it was probably like 2006 or 7, 8, I don't know, something like that. But it was called The Last True Story I'll Ever Tell. And it was written by a dude from the Florida National Guard who replaced, well, they got poured out a lot while they were in Iraq. I think they were there like two years almost, and they got just tasked out to the 101st, the 4ID, whatever, over and over. And it's such a good book, but it's the guy that wrote it was a Florida State University journalism student at the time when they deployed. So he had some pretty good writing skills. And he documented so much, and there was so many civilian casualties that we were responsible for, that he kind of goes over, and just like the brutality of it, and just little things like a decision made to like pop into this gas station one day, and there's a kid there, and they give the kid some fucking candy or something like that, and then the next day they come and kill their family because they're like, oh, you're pro-American, and of course those were guys who I don't know, I remember being at BIOP, and so my only benefit whenever Bush declared combat operations over was I got to fly home for my son's birth, my first son. And I was in such a good position to be able to do it. Thankful at a brigade command, all this kind of stuff, But I remember when I'm standing out at the airport waiting to get on a helicopter to fly down to Kuwait, standing there and BIOP, and they're like, yeah, the bird's going to be here soon. Go ahead and stand out there with your gear out in the open. Yeah, that's fine. Go out there. Birds coming in, and then it's just like pop, 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 like you start hearing shooting. I have no weapon at that point because it's like back there in our unit, and then you just see guys, special forces guys, Delta guys, I don't know, on 4-wheelers and shit, going across the airfield, going out to the backside, and I'm just like, well, whatever, dude. I mean, it's like the first time I got mortared, I just thought, well, I don't know where it's gonna land. I'm going to stay here and be safe, but if I have to go somewhere, I'm going to go. It's like the chances of it hitting me are pretty slim, but at the same time, like take some preventive measures. But that's how I approached the whole time being there. I was just like, I can't do anything. I can try to be preventative, but I can't do anything to stop it necessarily. And just even right before we left, I remember going on a convoy down to Baghdad for some meeting with Chaplain Dollinger then, and then Command Sergeant Major Buxbaum. And, it was just like maybe 5 vehicles. We had a couple of deuce and a halves, and we're on the way down, and one of them loses brakes, rear ends the other. We stop. We cause a traffic jam, of course. Yeah. And then Buxbaum's like, hey, guys, we need to pull security, while we're recovering these vehicles. And so I go and I just park myself by a tree, sitting there all stupid, and looking around. And I'm just like, this is a good fucking way to die. I'm like, a week or two from leaving, this is a great Vietnam story, And then I see this guy, this minivan full of dudes just staring at me, man, and just like with the eyes of, I just knew right there. I was like, this is going one way or the other, I'm just like, I can just stare at them, or I look away, or just watch. And at that moment, Buxbaum comes over and he puts his hand on my shoulder. He's like, you all right? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure there's these guys over there that are just watching us. He's like, yeah, no, I see them too. He's like, we're trying to get the hell out of here. And I was like, can we fucking go? I was like, let's go. Why did we bring these vehicles? And then the other part was like, why are we on this trip? And I told Chaplain Dollinger beforehand, because I didn't want to go. I was like, I was like, this is how bad things happen. You're complacent, and we're going on a trip that probably doesn't need to be done. Why are we driving to go to meetings? Like I remember doing that with Colonel Martin. It's like, well, we're gonna go down to Baghdad for a meeting. You have a phone. You have a fucking high-tech secure computer. What are you doing? He
had the only TACSAT in the brigade.
We need to, like
Maine from his Humvee. It's like,
but you got to go in person, and risk everybody. And then someone shoots at you, and you want to pull over and have a talk about it. No, buddy, let's keep going. And then, of course, we learn later that he's bipolar and had some real issues. Yeah, and then you kind of get it. There's some manic behavior there off and on, but I still like. I think he was really good, a good tactician. From my standpoint, I had only been in a couple of units before then, and young soldier and stuff like that. But I feel like he really put us in the best possible places. Like where we were even located at Anaconda was like perfect. No one could reach us technically. You'd hear them, other people getting hit, and you're like, well, damn, that sucks. Especially the medical tents. Like,
I mean, but we were in concrete buildings though, so it was like All right.
Very lucky. Yeah. Like, I mean, but that's kind of the benefit of, kind of being one of the first to arrive and
Yep.
having actually probably some of the smartest guys that I think we could have in our groups. I mean, I feel like we had some really bright guys in that,
We did.
S3 shop, and I'm so grateful for things like that. Cause that's the thing too, that I think about Nils a lot is like,
Mhm.
what happens to you in war is it's dumb luck. It's the bad luck, but it's
In a
dumb
lot of
luck
ways.
because it's basically just wherever you happen to be. And,
Yep.
there's just so many things with fate that come into play. But
Mhm.
I'm grateful every day again, for having all my body parts and most of my
Oh,
mind.
I still
'Cause
feel like I'm on bonus time, man. You know,
yeah,
like I feel like every day that I've had since 2003 is just bonus.
yeah,
Um, I mean, really, you look at I just look at like all the stuff that happened, you know, all like the near misses and I mean, like there's a dozen things in my mind I can think of where I probably should have died or been like hurt really bad and it didn't happen. It's
yeah,
like like that ambush where I got the RPG shot through my truck.
yeah.
It's like how does that happen? And I had one time we were driving through Baghdad, and how they had the third ID had like cut across all of like the guardrails and stuff. So they're all like crushed in certain places. And like 82nd was tearing around in those Humvees, and these dudes are just like flying across them. I was going full speed, had to lay on the brakes because the guys popped right out of one of these things, and I put flat spots on my tires. They were new tires
Oh wow.
before. Yeah, so it was like,
Yeah.
and then I was like, and like we stopped, like we should have hit them. I mean, it was like I don't know how we stopped, but it's like stuff like that, and like you think about the scuds that were shooting off, and you know the Frog Sevens and the other crap that we were getting, theater ballistic missiles getting launched at us during the invasion, and some Patriot
Yeah.
guys were shooting them out of the sky, and I mean it's. Or were you on that? Were you on that deal at where we were at outside of Anajaf and Kufa, where we went up to
I don't
that
know.
went up to that ammo dump where they said there was class 4 out there, and we drove around all day, didn't find any.
I don't think so. No, I
I
don't
don't
think
think.
so.
Okay, I might have been because I think we were with the 94th engineers at the time. We had like a couple of their first sergeants and some couple officers, and there's this like like the escarpment. You go up Highway 1, there's like that big escarpment, and then you got Anajaf's kind of like just past it. We had like an LSA that would, or like a logistics support area out there that was right there. And 94th had built a field or Ford landing strip out there, because we had like the logistics pods and all that crap. And we were over there at the time, and so we went up there. We're driving around this thing. It's like just ammo bunkers and all over the place, and like they've all been like partially bombed because the Air Force like, ooh, boop, 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 we'll pickle these, and
Targets.
it's like ordnance just like blown all over the place, and so you're like driving around, and there's like stuff poking out of the ground, and like there was actually, it was the first time I ran into a landmine in my life, and
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, we were we were out there, and we'd stop, and I was like standing next to the Humvee, and I looked down, and like right in the inside of my, like this far from the insole of my foot, yeah, I see like the little dome like this with like 3 little things poking out of it, and my butthole went.
And you're
It's
just
a
like, I'm gonna
Valmara.
get out on your side.
I was like,
Why?
oh,
What are you doing?
I know what this is. This is a Valmara Type 59 bounding mine. It's Italian. Jumps up about 3 feet high and disembowels you. So I hollered out, landmine, this is landmine, right? Everybody goes like, where? you know?
Yeah.
It's like, man, you guys are a bunch of cherries, I tell you. It's like I was over behind my engine block, my Humvee, waiting for it to go off. They were all click, 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 taking pictures and crap, like a bunch of tourists. Just like stuff like that.
I remember going through somewhere where there was a tank. There was an Iraqi tank that I watched a couple of guys climb on top of, and then a little bit of like green gas came out of it or something like that. I remember. I feel like it was like somewhere around Dogwood.
Yeah.
But I can firmly remember someone also yelling right before they opened it, like, "Don't do that!" And they were like, "Brr." It's
Yeah. Dogwood.
fucking
That's where
cool.
it was. It was Dogwood.
Okay. Yeah, Dogwood was a trip, but I remember there a university there, and they
Yeah.
found inside like a bank or something, and there was just like millions of dollars in American cash stacked up in there or something, and that's whenever there was the incident. People were putting in their pockets and eventually got
Yep.
busted. I
Mhm.
don't blame them.
Yeah.
I would have probably done the same thing, to be honest. Like I would have just looked at them and shit, man. No one's accounting for this, you know.
Didn't you see Three Kings, man?
But yeah,
You know
that's
what I
like
mean?
exactly the
Like,
whole thing. Someone's always gonna talk. Someone's always gonna talk. It always
three
happens, you know.
kings of stealing the gold.
I remember that was the first time too I saw there was all the birds from the 101st were like sitting around Dogwood, and that was interesting to see. That just that man, and I think we stayed there for a week or two. I don't know. I remember where I slept. Somehow Chaplain Higgins and I got like almost a whole building to ourselves, and I slept on this blue couch every night, listening to John Mayer of all things to help me go to sleep.
Crazy.
I
Yeah.
was like, I don't even like John Mayer, but it was so relaxing. I was like, oh yeah, man, this is cool. I go to
It
sleep.
doesn't matter. You just need something, you know.
Yeah, instead of listening to
Just
little
need
pop shots all night. But that was a really interesting place. I feel like that was also they had a building that had some stairs that went down 2 or 3 flights, maybe.
something.
Part of that building was blown out. This is the crazy thing is we would just wander around and shit like that. You know, this is really neat. Let's check it out. It's not structurally sound or whatever, but we're gonna check it out. You know, and walk in
Totally.
places, then realize like they had like hidden prison cells or some shit underneath this building, and
Mhm.
you know, and creepy. You know, so I mean, the guy was
Yeah.
doing like really bad, atrocious things for a long time, and I'm sure in Iran it's probably the same thing. They have places that are probably very dark and deep, and you know, all over the place. Of course, Iran's what like 2, 3 times the size of Iraq, and
Yeah.
it's like hold your horses. We need to do this a little differently. What? No, we're gonna do it our way. I think about China, the same thing. Like you're not gonna do that, man.
Oh,
You can't go and try to have kinetic warfare with these big giant ass countries. And the thing about our military is I feel like of course like we're strong and capable and stuff, and part of that is because of the technology, the money we dump into it and all that kind of stuff, American grit. But
yeah.
we haven't technically won a war in a long freaking time, you know?
We
And I
don't win
think with
wars, man.
yeah, we just fuck up
We
shit and
don't.
leave.
Yeah.
It's you know, spread democracy, man. They're gonna accept it one way or the other.
We're gonna bomb you into democracy. It's gonna be great.
The freedom, baby. We're gonna put some
Yeah.
red, white, blue stripes on your flag, and you're gonna love it. Woo! Um, you know, it's like amazing. How did we not learn? But I think we learned from Iraq. I think our generation of soldier and stuff learned from Iraq. I think that the MIC, you know, the military industrial complex. I think that these lobbyists are so heavy and strong, man. And whatever happened to convince old boy to launch into Iran with the Israelis, just that'll be in history books at some point. And I don't know. I hope some people go to prison over it. Now, I will back this up and say I think there's 1,000 reasons that you should have, you know, cut the head off the snake over and over again with in regards to Iran and taking out the Ayatollah and stuff like that. You know, maybe there was a more surgical way to do that, but I think there's
I
a
just
1,000 reasons to do it. It's just like the timing and the why now is the part that I struggle with.
The problem with Iran is it's a stupid war to fight. You know, the Iranian regime was in the weakest position it's probably been in a long time before the war happened. I personally feel like they were we were probably as close as we would have seen to them actually being able to having some kind of collapse, you know, being you know taken over, and all this war has done has allowed them to consolidate power, eliminate their dissidents. I mean, they've killed and jailed and done any who knows what with anybody who was going to stand up to them, right? You know, we replaced a Khomeini with like a meaner, crazier Khomeini. You know, like
It's like
you know,
the
it's
North
like
Korean story.
we replaced the Taliban in Afghanistan with the Taliban. You know, it's like
With
we
the
spent 20
younger,
years. Oh
war
yeah,
veteran Taliban, you know,
right.
more
That's
tactically
that's
intelligent.
now more better equipped with all of our guns and trucks and stuff we left behind. You know, it's like
Yeah.
what are we doing? And I mean, I think like this is, you know, the Gulf War was the greatest, one of the greatest and worst victories we've ever had, because ever since the Gulf War, I mean, Bush got such a big bump after that. Like everybody just was like coalesced. It was like, yeah, America. Lee Greenwood came out with his little song, and you know what I mean. And then
We defended Kuwait. I mean, the oil, Kuwait.
yeah, yeah, I mean,
Knock
it's
Saddam
the petrodollar,
backward.
man. So that's
Yeah,
what we're defending. We're defending the petrodollar. But and
100%.
then his son's like, yeah, well, they tried to kill my dad, so I can get a big bump too because people don't like me now. And here we are, and then it's like, oh yes, people don't like me. My ratings are in the toilet. Let's go invade
What do you
Iran.
do?
It'll
Yeah.
work. Third time's a charm, right? We'll definitely do better this time, except we don't have anybody competent in charge. It's like they're perfect time to go to war is that right after you purge the upper ranks of the military. Let's go purge everybody.
Actual
That we don't like,
competence. Yeah.
or who's doesn't have a Y chromosome, and we're gonna fire them all. And then we're gonna go invade Iran, and it's like, oh no, why isn't this working?
It's bizarre. It's bizarro land, dude. And
It is.
for the whole time of being in the army and trying to be apolitical, um, because it didn't matter. It's like whoever's in charge, you're just gonna follow suit. And then going in and being as an officer, even more so, like
Oh yeah.
they're trying to push for people to now be political in those positions it's dumb. It's really dumb because I feel to me that's how coups happen. Like
Yeah.
once you get people in positions who have some kind of political sway and they realize like, well, I can get these fucking guys to follow me based on, some crazy doctrine or something like that. I feel like that's how you end up with actual dictators that replace the pseudo dictator before him,
Yeah.
and because you're just empowering them. Now it's like whoever this General Kane, who came out of retirement to take this role, he's going to do whatever old boy says because he gave him this gift, and so he's like, run justified all day long. He knows he's wrong. He knows his morals are. I'm sure his wife's left him. I hope. I don't know, but like you
No.
have to sell your soul at a certain point. But I feel like once you do that, like, what do you care about after that besides grabbing more power?
Well, I mean, that's the thing is if you were a student of history, you would see this and you would know. But the thing is, these people don't believe history is real. They just use
Yeah.
history as a context to justify whatever they want to do, right? They don't use it to learn. They don't learn from it, right?
Yeah.
And then history also can be changed to support whatever they want.
Just rewrite it.
Wants,
Yep.
right? It's just narrative, And so, of course, you get these, what you do is you run out anybody who's competent, has, solid set of ethics, who's, the kind of folks that will do the right thing when nobody's looking. You get rid of those people. You drive those out, right? And then what you replace them with is the people who are the sycophants and the hangers-on, the ones who, fanboys who, they're just happy for an opportunity to like, oh, this is great. They said I'm smart, and
So many of them. It's crazy, dude.
it's like I grew up. I grew up overseas. I've got a kind of a strange upbringing. Like my dad. So my dad was a engineer officer as well in the Army. Made it to lieutenant colonel before he retired. And our final duty station was in Turkey in the mid '90s. And so I lived in Ankara on the economy, actually right across from the presidential palace in Gazi Osman Pasha. But and so like when I was there the year that Erdogan was elected the mayor of Istanbul. And so, one of the things that was real interesting was the way that they'd set things up. So the Turkish military's general staff is in the Constitution, is written in as the defender of a secular constitution. So Turkey has a history of coups, military coups. And so the way the coups work is when they start getting like religious party would come in, or getting kind of crazy. They go, no, we're going to coup. We suspend operations. We're going to put these guys in jail. And then like 3 or 4 months later, they'd have elections and they hand it all back over to the civilians again. Right.
Hmm.
And so what Erdogan did over the next like 10 years or so is he deliberately went and gutted the Turkish general staff. And he got rid of all these guys. And like, you want to talk about apolitical, like the Turkish army used to take apolitical to levels that you would not believe. I mean, it was like, these guys were like, oh, you're talking about politics? No, we don't have, I'm not discussing any of those things at all with anyone. It's like, no, and so if you wanted to go all the way, you could not, you didn't vote, you weren't a member of a political party, it's like they were very serious about it, and Erdogan went and he eroded that whole system. And, so he got rid of all these guys, and these were the intelligent ones, the competent ones, the guys who had tons of experience. They were, talented leaders and ethical. And he got rid of those guys and he replaced them with the ones who would say, oh, yes, my Sultan, whatever you wish, right? And you see that. And that's what's going on in the Pentagon. That's what they've done in the Pentagon. It's just like Erdogan did in Turkish general staff, except, here we are, and it's our military that we're seeing this stuff happen. And it's just really unfortunate, man. I mean,
it's a little frightening
and
to a degree.
As serious as they should be. So.
Yeah, 100%. Because they just feel like the guy sitting in the White House is going to do something for them, which I never understand. Like when I drive through some of the most impoverished parts of Texas and I see a certain sign up for somebody, and I'm like, why, bro? Like, what do you think's gonna happen for you to be that much of a I don't know, fanboy of anybody in politics? Yeah. So that's my thing. And
that's cold.
I've lost some friends because of politics, unfortunately, but it ain't me, man. I think that these what do they call them, snowflakes, whatever, like it's just it's just like I can't imagine being a fanboy of any politician. That's the thing, man. Or he's not really a politician. He's the fucking president. I think he is, but like I can't wrap my brain around it at all, and like I feel like I have pretty good morals and ethics and things like that. And I've always felt like, and I've told my sons this, is that if there's anybody I'm going to vote for, it has to be somebody that I can be kind of relatable to, like as somebody that I feel like I could sit down and have a meal with in a conversation. And you may not agree on everything, but you can discuss things, and that they're open to sitting down with somebody who has nothing to gain for them, and that's what they don't do anymore. And if you don't have that, what do you want that guy running your government for if it's entirely unrelatable to your life? And we just see that, and it's just strange to me, man. Like the PR machine that they run is incredible. It really is. I'm doing like the last 10 years in the Army as public affairs and starting to get an understanding of those things and how effective those tools can be. I mean, they've taken people who had some great credibility in their life and just destroyed it by a couple of tweets, or planting some stories here and there, and watching someone like a press secretary just spin the lies that somewhere in her head she knows it's bullshit. You would think, right? I don't know, but one thing I do like about
the fatal flaw that they have is that they ignored rule number 1, which is never believe your own propaganda. And they've totally believed their own propaganda, and that's going to be their undoing eventually. And
boy, you hope so. And in a good way. Like I don't want anything nefarious to happen. But it's like, get somebody to run who isn't a dipshit, like that's another thing. Like the last cycle, you had a couple of decent candidates, but they bowed out so fast, man. They were just like, oh, I can't go against that guy. Why? I mean, the things you say are the things that are the track record that are not good, and you campaign on that. But they're so afraid. I don't know what it is. I'm like, does this guy have like research on everybody? Like all this great oppo research. And he's like, I'll reveal that you're a freak in the sheets. I don't know. It's just something, and so people sell out.
Dirty. Yeah, politics is so gross, man. Like when I got out. I dabbled a little bit in third-party politics.
And, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, so like I was part of a group of guys that gals that had started a third party called the Veterans Party, and in which the idea was essentially, you know, a a party that was uh, focused on the welfare of the people, and was one that would kind of stand apart from the partisan crap, and common sense and compassion and that sort of thing. And anyways, it got taken over by a bunch of alt-right wackos. uh it's like the racists showed up, and it was like they took over, because guess what, those guys they're like they play like the rules don't matter to them, right? Because they don't follow the rules, and they just it is absolutely bare knuckles nasty stuff, and so that was kind of my, like, I was like, oh, I'm not doing this crap. And so, like, I actually when I lived when I lived in Norman the first time, I actually was on volunteered for one of the unelected, you know uh, boards that they had. So I was on the board of adjustment for a while, which I really enjoyed, because it was, you get to hear, folks are, doing construction projects or whatnot, and they want to get an exception to an ordinance, and they've got an argument for it, and you would decide whether or not you give them a waiver to that. And so I had a lot of fun doing that, because I would just ask, like, stupid questions, and people would, like, we had this one ordinance where it's like you had to have so much brick on your building, right? Facade's got to be like 75% brick, and da da da. It's like, yeah, that's nothing wrong with that, right? And so these folks wanted to build a body shop down in a part of town that's a little bit depressed and kind of dingy, and they wanted a waiver from the brick facade requirement, and they had a good reason for it, and it was expensive, right? And so, we had one of the architects we had an architect on there, and I was just like, well, I don't know, and I stopped and I said, hey, so how many buildings down there on this street would meet that facade requirement? They're like, one. So how many people are you going to employ? They're like, well, we're going to hire 40 people. I said, oh, 40 people, huh? Oh, that sounds pretty good. Would you guys like to have 40 more jobs here? And they're like, well, yeah. I said, well, let's give them the waiver then. It was like, like, that's satisfying stuff, because you get to do
Sure.
something at a level that you can actually improve people's lives, right? And
Affect
you
your
make things
community directly.
yeah, I mean, it's like you can actually do something for your community. So it's like, the national stuff is it's just crazy. It's insane.
It's
I
out of
mean, even at
control
the
and it's
state level,
lost. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, even at state level, it can be kind of wild, but so kind of only place I'm really truly interested is like at the community level, as close as you can get. But yeah,
Oh, I think that's good. I have a cousin who got really involved in his local community, politically wise, and he's preached to that to me for years. He's like, if you want to see or affect change, is like you get involved with your local politics, because
yeah,
it's just I think the payoff can be quicker, and it affects people directly more so.
yeah,
Where I live in a bedroom community right outside of Houston. It's a solid community. It's supposedly we have the most concealed carry weapons permits per capita or something like that, either in the state of Texas or the country. So there's not a lot of FO in this community of
yeah,
League City. Yeah. And I learned this quickly too, not long after moving here, was down the street, there was a lady that thought someone was going to try to break into their house because she heard someone knock on her door like 3 a.m. And so I
yeah,
have cameras outside, and a League City police officer stops by one day, and he saw my cameras, and he's like, hey, do you have backup to these that I could look at? Because we're looking to see if a car drove by at a certain time. We start talking. And I did, and of course, because I learned Google had changed the subscription to where you now had to pay to save 30 days worth. It was like,
yeah,
bro, gotta just get my own server. So anyway,
yep.
we're talking, and so I'm in Galveston County. It's just like perfect delineation line or whatever, where it breaks off from Harris County. And we're just talking about the crime rate in the area. And he's like, Galveston's pretty good because we have a DA that prosecutes. Like, so we don't have people who come in and do robberies. We might have the robbers live in our community, but they go to Houston and do the crime because they know, like, even if they get caught, they're going to be on the streets the same day. Harris County does not prosecute. And so that's kind of a nice thing about Galveston County. It's like, you might have some criminals living next door, but they're not going to mess with you because A, they might get shot, and B, they know they'll get arrested and prosecuted. So it's a good spot, you know. I'm like, and the property tax is way lower in this county too. So it's like, you Harris County, you can have it, you know. Build a wall. It's fine for some things, but going back though is like that's a local initiative that works, you know. So for the people, and then so your property value is higher, your schools are better, more people want to live here that, for lack of a better term, care about having a good, wholesome community. And so that's a good place to be. Not everybody can have that luxury, and it's unfortunate, you know. I mean, one thing that I see with national and statewide too is just like they hoard money that could really help out people out and about, you know. And there's not one side of the aisle that gives two shits about the people's welfare, you know. They're all again, the PR game is magical, you know. You can tell people anything and get them going, and you know, and they're like, yeah, that's gonna happen, and then they get in office, and you know, they're bought out within days. A great example for me that I think about is Tulsi Gabbard, who I kind of was like rooting for before. But I mean, that's a person who entirely sold their soul and left their party, went to the other party, and now is just a sycophant for, you know, her boss, with anything and everything, you know. And it's just, dude, it's like whack. RFK Jr. and stuff like that. And like, whatever, you know. So, but sometimes it makes it just feel like it's all a ploy, you know, because I feel like it is. But then the ploy can be very powerful. So, you know,
Outrage,
it's just kind of almost like protect your
Outrage, powerful tool of
and
control.
victimization, playing the victim.
The thing is, in making you outraged, right? You know, when you're outraged, you're not thinking clearly. You're not thinking about what really matters, you know. And honestly, like, that's one of the things right now. It's like, if you're a person who's, you know, got a fairly strong sense of justice, it's a tough time to be alive, because like the amount of injustice that's just rampant it's everywhere. So it's like, one of the things I've realized I have to do is I got to protect my peace, man. You know, it's like I can't go down the rabbit hole. Well, and I'll hit a point where I'm like, we gotta stop, turn the social media crap off, you know. Stop watching the news and whatnot, because a lot of it's just, you know, they're just rage baiting you, you know. And I mean, that's what the algorithms are built to do. They're built to enrage and get you to engage. That's how they get you to engage. It's disgusting. It's like, let's make your life worse for ad clicks. It's going to be great for us.
I used to teach this class in the Army, like late in my career, to different units about media relations, you know. And one of the things that I picked up on early when I got into that business was just how news organizations, once they accept sponsorship dollars, they're bought, you know, and those advertisers will direct what they put out because it benefits them. You know, if you report on something that has to do with Pfizer, that's negative toward Pfizer, and they're your sponsor, they're going to pull their money. And now you're going to have to lay off people or whatever, you know, so they don't do that. And so we've had a bot media for, I think, a good 40 years. And it's a tragedy, because journalism is an important tenet of part of our democracy, like real journalism. And unfortunately, of course, the press is the enemy of the state. It's like, no, they're our fucking best friend. You know, they should be, but that whole narrative has gotten ripped from us. Die
Lügenpresse. That's what they were called. Back in the 30s, right? Die Lügenpresse, the lying press, the fake news, right?
If you look at the people who are at that White House Correspondents' Dinner, most of those aren't journalistic outfits, man. They were all clickbait websites a couple of years ago, and now because they're only getting invited to the table. Like the thing that the Sal, the pig, did, the Secretary of Defense, but I call him Sal, with making the media outlets sign off on these things that
Oh
are
yeah.
basically you can only report on what we tell you and don't ever
You got guys,
speculate. And
you got guys like Tim Pool
I'm losing you a little bit.
with his stupid, stupid freaking there. He's in there like, oh, well, I'm asking you a legitimate journalistic question, dude. There's nothing legitimate about you, you dumbass. I mean, the guy's, yeah, take the stupid hat off too. I mean, you're bald. Just accept it. All right.
Yeah, the
It
bald
doesn't
is
make you look
beautiful.
cool. Bro, come on, man. Like, I have no respect for you at all.
The
Zero.
coolest thing that I
I mean,
saw
that's the
happen
kind of guys that are
recently.
like, oh, we like guys like that because they just throw softballs to us, and they're good friends with our buddies over in Russia. Freaking barbarians of the
Yeah.
world.
I
God,
love that the guys who run the Onion bought out InfoWars. That's one of the best thing that's happened in ages, man. They gutted out their studio already. There were some pictures posted of that, and I was just like, glorious, And I love it, the irony of the Onion doing it,
I love it.
like,
I love it. Yeah.
like, because I mean, if somebody, and man, I know some people now who are kind of like getting on board with Alex Jones's bullshit and like a Candace Owens and stuff like that. And I'm like, don't you get it? Like they're just clickbaiting you, just
Yeah.
sucking you in and sucking you in. They might have an ounce of truth somewhere in their shit, right? But for the most part, they're just, and then so much of the stuff that they're rambling on about doesn't matter. It's not important. And again, and going back to local stuff, how does it affect you in your household? The thing I preached to my daughter was she got married recently, and I told her like, just focus on what happens in your home more than anything. First thing first is whatever is in your home. Everything else outside those doors, even your own mother, your grandmother, whatever, they don't matter before your sanctity inside of your home. And I think that's something we've lost in this country a lot of. We're too worried about what's happening outside of our doors. And while some of it's definitely important, it's not enough to rule your every single waking moment. Like if you get up in the morning and the first thing you do is look at Facebook, like you're already ruining your day because something's going to piss you off,
Well, we're absolutely overwhelmed with the amount of information we have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just too much, and we're not built to be able to sift through and process it. That, and so as a result, what happens is we take shortcuts. And because you just don't have the mental processing power to sift through whether absolutely everything you've read. I mean, it's just too much. So you take the shortcuts. And what it makes is very easy for you to be manipulated, especially when you start seeing discrepancies, right? You start seeing a bunch of little discrepancies, and it's like the same story. But there's little different shades and to it. They're all a little different, subtly different. Something says this, something says that, and you're like, okay, well, who's right, right? And who's not right? And then what it does is it erodes your trust, your ability to trust what you hear. So then you stop trusting it, right? And then that makes you easily susceptible to being manipulated by somebody who catches your interest. One of these guys like Alex Jones, or what's that, the douchebag UFC guy, Joe something or other.
Joe Rogan.
Rogan? Oh, Rogan.
Yeah. Rogan. Yeah, Rogan.
Yeah.
And he's like this guy that he had like the best platform going essentially to like get all these bright people on and get their stories out. That's kind of like my goal here is like, whether one person watches or 1 million, I don't care. My goal is like good discussions, good interviews, talking with people that I think are really bright and have good, unique stories or whatever, but like, can you just share those? But like with no agenda. Once you let that agenda slide in, like the moment he had Trump on his show, all his credibility was gone.
Oh, yeah.
Like just purely gone. And
the sponsorship problem, right?
Massively. Yeah. And so, you're just, you have no integrity after that. And don't be upset when people call you on it, because someone's going to call you on it, eventually, if they're okay with not being invited to your show. Like, who gives a shit? Because again,
I mean, honestly,
it doesn't matter.
In his defense, though, he's probably been punched in the head so many times,
Yeah.
Like I've
He's
had
a
couple
useful idiot
myself, and it's
it obscures a few things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Man, I know we could talk forever, and but no one will watch forever. But I really
Yeah.
appreciate you being on, dude.
Yeah, brother.
There's so much more I'd like to dive into, but we'll have to do it again for sure.
Yeah.
Real quick before you get off of here, if you'd like to, tell us about what you do now.
So so after you and I parted ways in '03, actually I went home early with Sergeant Major Riddle in
Mhm.
August. Yeah, and flew back with him, and he went to Sergeant Major's Academy, and I ETS'd. I got out of the Army, went back to school, went back in as an officer, and then served until another like 7, 8 years, and then I got medically retired. I fractured my kneecap on a run. Uh, I was down at Fort Benning, and they didn't
Ugh.
know. Nobody figured out that I had a fractured kneecap. They're like, "Oh, I got bone spurs." So it was a bunch of pills, and I was in a wheelchair, and and
Oh no
had
shit!
a
Wow.
yeah, had a, it was rough, man. And I had
Yeah.
I could tell you the whole story about how I got out of the Army is a tale, because I was in one toxic unit after another. And so anyhow, I got out and went into came back here to Oklahoma and worked in oil and gas for a little bit midstream, and then that didn't pan out, so I ended up getting work over at the university as a capital projects manager, and got into doing alternative delivery, which is what I my specialty now. And along the way, I got my PhD in construction manager at risk contracting, and now I'm a consultant. So my sister-in-law and I convinced my old man to move back from Iowa. He had been teaching at Iowa State for a number of
Okay.
years, and consulting as well. And we wanted to, I told him, like, look, I want to go into business with you. I think it's cool. I like what you do. It's like you get to play a role in real interesting projects. We work a lot for owners, federal agencies, municipalities, and DOTs, and help them figure out how to do really complex kind of construction projects. Or be able to do them in a way where we got people who don't trust each other be able to figure out how to trust each other and collaborate. And so he moved back. Me and my sister-in-law went to business with him in 2019, and now we've been doing that. I'm probably half the work I do is continuing education and training. I do a lot of continuing education courses through American Society of Civil Engineers. Teach construction administration, cost estimating, that kind of stuff. And then the direct consulting stuff is fun. We do work with different groups, on doing sign build, and some other stuff like that. And I enjoy it. It's a pretty flexible kind of work. So
Yeah.
if I've got work to do, I've got work to do. If I want to take some time and go spend some time with my kids, or my wife, I go do that. You know,
Hmm.
um, and we've got a pretty good thing going. So I mean, I enjoy it. It's I've gotten kind of active in some of the different professional organizations like Society of American Military Engineers. It's a great organization. So you got the engineer castle. We all get together and do like the old essay-ons fist bump. you know
A lot of special bro hugs.
well, I mean, the truth is about the engineer, being an engineer officer, is that the Army doesn't value technical expertise. The Army values generalists, and the engineers attracts a certain kind of officer. Some of us, are the ones
Mhm.
who, technically focused, we're want to do project management, and that kind of stuff. And so you find there's some of these guys will go into the Corps. They'll be green suiters, works out great, right? They usually don't, you can go to lieutenant colonel, sometimes colonel, and then usually get out and kind of transfer over into private sector, either working for a engineering firm or for general contractors, or on the public side. But the thing I've enjoyed is that I'm getting paid for my competence now. you know, and if I want to work more, I can work more. If I
Yeah.
want to make more money, I can work more and make more money, you know. And whereas when I was a staff officer, it was, you know, I had my, when I was, I was at K-64, my first assignment as an officer, I was platoon leader for a total of 6 months. 3 months, rear detachment platoon, 80 soldiers, one NCO,
Mm.
for the longest time, no mission. It was just
Wow.
like Article 15 contest going on, you know. And then
Yeah.
battalion redeployed,
Totally.
and they put, I got to stand up, went and we did a converted a company into horizontal construction. So I was earth loop platoon leader, and I was real proactive, and I got my guys work to do, found projects for them to do training and whatnot. And then my battalion XO calls me down. He's like, "Hey, Nils, I'm gonna make you the headquarters company XO." And I was like, "Sir, what? Why?" He goes, I don't. There's nothing I can train you about now. I'm being a platoon leader. You've already done it." And I said, "But sir, it's only been there for 3 months." He goes, "Hey, look, competence is a bitch." Ed Diaz, man, good guy. And yeah, I mean, so like, you know, as a staff officer, if you're competent, man, you're going to carry all of the weight, right? You know,
Right.
you're going to,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
like, oh, we can depend on you. You're going to do it, right? You know, and
Yep.
that was a story of my career in the Army, you know, as an officer. So like, I got in the position I wanted to be, you know, construction operations officer of the battalion. That's what I wanted to do, right? And then when I went to
Yeah.
my next battalion, I needed to do something different, like go be the S4 or something like that. And my commander's like, "Oh no, you've got experience as the S3C and you got the degree, so you're mission critical. You've got to be." So I got siloed, right? I got stuck, and I couldn't do the other, you know, stuff that would have made me more competitive. I mean, I was still really competitive, and then I broke my knee. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's the thing I like about, at least,
And
yeah,
then they kick you to the curb.
yeah. Well, I went from being, I was the top guy for, you know, for the next command. I was going to get the best company. I was next up in the slot. You know, I was ready to take command. I'd come out of the career course. I was a honor graduate. Uh, you know, I'd gotten to go to this explosive ordnance clearance agent school, which was like really awesome. I was a distinguished honor graduate from that. I got in the leadership award for my class, and you know, at the career course, got a master's in geological engineering while I was there. You know, and I went from being, you know, that guy to being a pussy. You know, you know, you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, right? You know, oh, you're broke. You know, sick call ranger over here. You know,
Yeah, the moment it happens, I mean, that's what
it
happened
was
to me
crazy,
when
man.
I tore up my hip, you know, and then it fucks up your knees
Now
and
you're a dirtbag.
your back, et cetera. It just goes, and it's like you're not missing a limb. So what's wrong with you? Why can't you?
Yeah.
You don't want to come out here and run with us at like a too slow of a speed that's healthy, and or whatever, you know. It just, yeah, it throws things off the rails pretty quickly, and it messes with your self esteem, and
Oh, it
it
was
gets really, yeah, tough.
it
And
was really hard transition
being
right
at
there.
that last command I was at, man, I saw a variance of how some officers could get treated well and how some would just really treat others like total shit, you know.
Yeah.
And it was rough to
Yeah.
see when we had a full bird that he wasn't our DCO, he was maybe he was our XO, I don't know, whatever. But because the ESC was kind of weird, it was like a division but not really.
Yeah.
um but this guy would lead meetings sometimes, and like if some captain owed him something and didn't have it, I mean, he'd throw shit at him, dude. Like he would just lose his shit and then he'd justify it. But then, like to me personally or professionally, 101, absolutely stupendous. You know, he always had my back. Like I had a bad captain. My PAO I had there for a while was
Yeah.
horrible, and he knew it.
Yeah.
So we'd have these one-on-ones and stuff like that, and he's like, "Look, I got it, man." He's like, "When she comes in and complains, I just tell her to shut the fuck up." And I'm like, "Do you really?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I do." And I'm like, "No wonder she's so pissed off all the time." You know, she doesn't get her way anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's like, but going to that's the toxic leadership that, you know,
Yeah.
can be around. But then at the same time, for me, it benefited me to a degree where he didn't like people and, you know, whatever, but for others it doesn't, and then vice
Oh yeah.
versa, you know. But
Yep.
no, I as I've talked to other people so many times about this stuff is that you take the components of bad leadership and the components of good leadership, and it turns you into the leader you are. And don't blame others for your behavior. It's yours.
Yeah, man.
Yours and yours alone. I'm huge into that. I preach it to my sons: accountability, responsibility, whatever. But it's like, your mommy and daddy got divorced when they were young, but you're like 22 years old now. So grow up, whatever. It's like, it's
responsibility for your life, And
you
you're an
do.
adult.
And I think we have too much of people who are, it's like, blame everything on being when they were 5 years old that they didn't get something they wanted, and now they get to be a sociopath. And I'm just,
No, I mean,
maybe you
it's not
should get
to be a tyrant, right? Or to be you only have one life to live, man.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yep.
if you wanna be miserable, it's a choice you make to be miserable.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like part of life's journey is like, it's one of self-discovery. It's like you got to figure out kind of who you are and what makes you
Yeah.
tick, so
Yeah.
you can be the person you want to be. And I mean, I know something we've talked about before, but it's like you figure out in your 40s, you're like, oh, I have ADHD and autism, and it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool, right?
That's why I blow off so much
magic
stuff.
combo, right? That's why I miss so much of this stuff. I'm like, oh, so that's what they meant when they said that, and you
Well,
gotta like learn how to live at peace with yourself,
yeah. And not overwhelm yourself. Yeah. Like, don't because that's another thing like I've learned over time and over the many years where I could not focus on things in front of me, and you start focusing on everything else going on around you. Is I learned that I'm very susceptible to like auditory overload, where I just start hearing everything and you can't turn it off. And someone could be talking to me and I'm hearing conversations like in a restaurant. It's the worst for me. You're just hearing conversations all over the place. Someone's talking, you don't hear a word they're saying, but you hear this old lady going on about her dog over here.
Yeah.
And that's I'm just like, well, I'll be damned, No wonder I didn't listen to that biatch or whatever. It's like you realize like that makes sense now. But it's like going back to Colonel Martin. Love the guy. Glad he was my brigade commander when we went to war.
Yeah.
But now understanding, watching his highs and lows, his manic behavior, I was like, son of a bitch. So if for anybody that's watching doesn't know, he wrote a book. This is very public information, but he discovered late in his career it was OCD and bipolar, I believe. And then it ended up kind of ending his career at that point, though, because I think he was a 2-star. He was running the Army War College, right?
He was at National Military University, where it was.
Yeah, such a smart guy, great guy.
He got a PhD from MIT.
He was on. I had him on my resume for a while. Like I emailed him one day, and he was like, "Sure, man, put me down as your reference or whatever." And I was like, "Hell yeah!"
I love him to death, man. I mean, as far as people come, he's great. He's great people. Like honestly, like he getting to know him as a driver and whatnot was a great honor. And actually what's kind of cool is like he's one of these people who's like, he really truly cares about the person. He does.
Yeah.
He's like he's not in it for himself. He's in it for everyone else. Like it's like he's totally focused on you. And like when I was when I was in ROTC, he got pinned 1-star, and he was the commander over in Portland, and he invited me to his promotion ceremony. So I flew out to Oregon to go see him pin. And it's like, it's like, oh, he's a wild driver, right? He's a cadet in ROTC. And then when he was the commander of the engineer schools, when I was out there as a lieutenant doing my officer basic course and or whatever it's called, but and like so like he invited me over. He invited us over, me and Scarlett, to come over to the social. And like we're the only, like I was the only junior officer there. It's like we're all in our
baby lieutenant,
and he's like, yeah, this is my driver. And now he's an engineer officer. Isn't that great? And I mean, it's
you're
that
like,
kind of stuff. It's like,
look at the name. Look at the name. Look at the name. Don't forget this name, guys, because might be beneficial. Yeah. No, it is, and then, but like you
Yeah.
said, it's
Cool.
you figure some of these things out in decades. You know,
Yeah.
in my 20s, I
You
was an
do.
idiot, just
Oh,
trying to
yes.
just live to the fullest. In my 30s, it started to slow down a little bit. You start gaining some wisdom, and you're
Mhm.
like, yeah, I probably
Stop
shouldn't do
caring
this or
about
that.
what people think about you.
Yeah, a tad. And then, but you get in your
Yeah.
40s and you really figure out what works and why you should set boundaries. And um, because if you have parents, it's great. Like you get to work with your dad. It's like, I lost
Yeah.
my dad a few years ago and I feel like he died too young, but like my dad had a heart attack at like 43 or something. So when I got around age 43, I was like, ah, shit,
Yeah.
like I got to really watch things and I haven't done it the best, but now I'm 48 and I'm like, all right, I've gotten past like, my dad's markers. So that's a good thing. I might have some little better DNA or whatever it is, but it's stress. And it's like lower your stress level, do whatever you can to lower your stress
Yeah.
level. And so even if that's you get on and play some video games as a 40 something year old, who gives a shit, or if you strum the
Dude.
guitar, you play the violin in your closet, or if whatever it might be, you go work out. But it's like do something that you thoroughly enjoy and don't let anyone else tell you not to because
Yeah.
it's your life, and we
Yeah.
don't know what happens at the end. We hope something good happens at the end, but like
You don't know the number of
yeah.
your days, man. You know?
No, yeah.
Like,
Anytime, planes
I
land on
didn't think I was
houses sometimes.
yeah, I didn't think I was gonna live past 35, honestly. I really didn't. I thought,
Yeah.
they're gonna keep sending me back down here and they're gonna get me. Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
die.
yeah,
I'm gonna die in the
yeah.
Middle East. And then I got medically retired at age 34. And the next year I was like, 35. What do I do now?
Now you're driving really safe, you know? Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, I play BattleTech. That's my
yeah.
that's yeah, you know, you have some things that just bring you joy. Yeah, and you got to find time to do those things. It's like midnight conversations with my daughters. You know,
Yeah.
they come in, and they won't talk to you at dinner, they won't talk during the day, but man, midnight and they're like fixing themselves some snacks in the kitchen, and it's like, boop, 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 you just eat it up, man. It's like the best thing in life. It is.
Oh, man, I love if my sons call and ask me a question, I'm just like, "Oh, thank you."
Like, yes,
Yeah, it's like, you think that I actually have wisdom
I
and some
have I
intelligence.
have an
I
answer
love
for
it.
you.
Yeah, it's such a good feeling, man, but, like,
Yeah.
it's cool, to me, the evolution of a man is
Yeah.
this, and that's just how it is, and I think for some people, they figure it out younger, some people don't figure it out for a long time,
Some
or
never figured
ever.
it out. Mhm.
Yeah, and it's a shame, but I think, like, for us, the military is not for everybody, but for those that it is helpful for, just I wouldn't even say just getting direction or whatever, but it's
Oh,
just getting around people who have similar goals in life and leadership, and
yep.
it's not about this masculinity competition or whatever, whoever's the alpha, but there's a little bit of that, and sometimes you got to
Yeah.
figure out whenever you have to bark and whenever you have to just sit,
Yep.
and those are good skills to learn. I mean, they really are. And I don't know anywhere else that people get that, maybe athletics, but
Yeah, no. I mean, that thing I think the benefit for me with the military was I needed to prove myself to myself, and it gave me an opportunity to do that. It also was something that made me grew me up. Like not I was not mature. I was an idiot, you know. Yeah, I mean, I had a Air Force ROTC scholarship to Texas Tech, studying mechanical engineering, man, and I was not interested in the school stuff. So they were like,
that's what
"Yeah,
my oldest is. He's
you
in mechanical engineering.
you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here." So I
Yeah.
got kicked out of college. I got kicked out of the Air Force. I was contracted at the time, and yeah, irony of that is actually in '03 they went through and I think the Air Force went and like got all the guys who had been like hadn't finished ROTC but were like had done technical degrees, and they commissioned them all in the IRR as second lieutenants in the civil engineering corps. And I
Wow.
found out after the fact when we were in Iraq, I was a second lieutenant in the Air Force IRR as an E4.
Oh shit. Wow.
It was crazy, man. Because like when I did my security clearance stuff, they were like, "Oh, you're an Air Force officer first." It's like, no, I was
Was I?
I was in ROTC, and then when I got commissioned, like a year afterwards, I get this certificate in the mail that is my discharge from the Air Force, dated one day before my commission in the Army.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. You're
Yeah.
like, I don't know. You guys might owe me some
Wild.
monetary reward here too.
Yeah,
So,
wild. But yeah, no, I
let's
mean, it's
talk.
like I got kicked out of college. I was working a machine shop doing swing shift out in on the Brownfield Highway outside of Lubbock, Texas, and they shut the swing shift down. So I was like, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to join the Army. And it was the best, worst thing I've ever done in my life, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the downsides, all the tough stuff, all the trauma crap, still, I mean, it was a social elevator for me. It gave me the
Sure.
ability to stand on my own 2 feet, and a way to appreciate what I had and what I could be. And
Yeah.
by the time my enlistment was up, I was like, man, I'm ready to go to college. I went back to college, man, easy, 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 easy. I was married to, guys were like, hey, you want to join my frat? And I'm like, that'd be pretty cool for you, wouldn't it? Like, well, yeah. I mean, it's like, so you want me to pay you to like abuse me to join your fraternity? He's like,
We're
well,
gonna hang
it's
out.
only like a semester. It's like, nah, dude, nah. You guys have fun with that. I'm gonna go home. My wife's making meatloaf, and we're gonna watch CSI. It's gonna be great. Oh, by the
We'll
way,
be
my
just
homework is
fine.
done. Is your homework done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now those guys are day traders. Right. I think for me, it was always the camaraderie. It was the
Yes.
the different assignments. I'm glad for the two career fields I chose because I got to go to like any unit basically that I could go
Yeah.
to, and man, it's like all my friends are peers basically, and they're around the world, and I love that. And it's as I told my other friend, I was just like, it's that you can just pick up that phone and call somebody, and they're going to answer no matter where you are, how long it's been that you've spoken or whatever, because it's just like there's a reason they're calling you.
Yeah.
I mean, if my sister calls me, I don't answer half the time because I think there's no reason she's calling. So I'm just like, yeah, you could text me, but it's just different with your brothers and sisters from being uniform. And that's just something I don't know. I don't know where people can ever get that same camaraderie.
That's what I meant.
You go through hell together. Yeah, you go through hell and you go through good times and all that shit, and it's like, and you create memories that you're just never gonna forget, good or bad,
I don't miss the stupid contests, but I miss the people. I miss some of the stupid people.
Yeah, no, yeah, and just some of the stupid times, man. But
Yep.
And I've seen I got a couple of buddies that I did some stupid stuff with who are now like leading battalions and brigades, and I'm just like, that's badass.
Dude,
you too can.
one of my best friends actually, we were enlisted guys together in Hanau. He was over at Yorkhoff Kaserne, and enlisted at the same time. He's now a battalion commander. He's Med Service Corps guy, back over in Germany. He got back to Germany. It's like, wow, and it's like, hey, pretty good for a small arms repair,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a medic that I was with in Oklahoma at Fort Sill who went and became a PA. Now I think he's an MP, but I don't know if he hasn't retired yet. He's bound to be any time now, but he's got to be an 05 or something, but and that's the other thing. And then we'll wrap this up, but like, there's so many opportunities. Now we sound like a recruiting video, when I'm like, well, we need to get the control of our armed forces before we send anybody else off. But is the thing, the career options that you have. You go in as a water dog and you might retire as, an engineer or a doctor. I mean, they'll pay for you to go. They will pay you to go to school and educate you and make you a good, useful tool for them. And you don't even have to give them forever. It's like,
no. Yeah. No,
it's not a bad deal.
Yeah, I mean, for all the crap you deal with, there's been, if you play your cards right and you're, you can really use it to your advantage. And it's been to my advantage, that's for sure. It was to my dad's as well. I mean, my dad, he went on, got his degree on an ROTC scholarship, and now he's got 2 PhDs and thought
That's
leader.
wild.
Yeah, like he's on
Yeah.
he's on the National Academy of Construction. like like
Wow.
he's authored over 400 you know papers. Uh, he's written he's written the guides and the handbooks and all that stuff on how to do alternative delivery in for heavy infrastructure, heavy civil, transportation stuff. Like he wrote the book on it, and it's because
No kidding.
yeah, he got his start in the army. You know.
So the cousin I mentioned earlier, he's a civil engineer in Austin, and
Yeah.
he's helped to implement their rail system there, their light rail system. So I'd be willing to
Oh,
bet
that's
he's probably
awesome.
heard of your father.
Yeah, he
I just
probably
I would,
yeah, might have.
I mean, it's that wouldn't surprise me and stuff. And he does really well. Like and his wife's a civil engineer as well. They do two different kind of things, but they're both in that category. And I'm always impressed
Yeah.
by the work that he gets done. So kudos to you guys. My oldest, again, he's finishing up this year with his mechanical engineer degree from Tech. And
That's great.
yeah, so I've only driven out there one time out of the few years he's been there because it's just too far and it's out in the middle of nowhere, man. It's just it's a 9-hour drive from Houston, man. So
proud graduate of Lubbock High School myself. So go Westerners.
boy, yeah, man. That's a spot. But yeah. But Nils, all right, man. Let's jam. Let's wrap it up. And thank you
Sounds good,
again
brother.
for being here. And hopefully we can get a steak again sometime in the near future. I'll have to
That
come
sounds
your
great.
way.
Next time I come down to work with NASA, I'll give you a shout.
Yeah, for sure. We just became members, like annual members now of going to the Space Center, and it's so awesome, man. It's
That's so cool.
the work they do is incredible. So, but all right, we'll catch you again soon.
All right, brother. We'll see you.
Thanks for listening to this episode. It's sponsored by the following illustrious sponsor, Wondering with Jason Casera. If you're thinking about taking that trip, contact me to help you plan it out and book it. There are so many great deals on travel right now, and I can get you to anywhere you'd like to go. Disney World, Disneyland, Universal Orlando, Mexico, go on a cruise, go to South America, maybe take a trip to Antarctica. Who's to say? Email me at jasonkay@wonderkeep.com or hit me up on the socials. If you're interested in being a guest on the show, email me at anotherpodcast@gmail.com or get hold of me any way you know how. I'd like to share your story.